Call this meeting to order. Let's please stand, recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Roll call. Alderman Smith.
Present.
Alderman Quinn.
Present.
Alderman Snyder.
Here.
Alderman Saunders.
Here.
Alderman Simpson.
Present.
Alderman Osborne.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Mr. Mayor, before we get started, we do have a planning and zoning hearing to be held first.
All right. So we are to conduct a public hearing at this time regarding the application for a conditional use permit from Mr. Michael Shoemaker. I don't have the documentation with me. All I have is my notes. Do you have the documentation from do you have the actual planning and zoning documentation? I don't. All I have is the notes.
I wasn't there at that meeting, sir.
I
Okay.
did take notes.
Well, quite.
So the recommendation.
Yeah, the recommendation of the board, the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission was to approve the conditional use permit application for Michael Shoemaker. Are there any objections? Are there any questions from the public? Okay, it is the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning will be to the board at that point during our agenda. What?
We had a question about what the project
I don't know
actually
what the project
was
is.
from a couple of the council members, obviously.
Oh,
Or I can talk, or you.
Yeah, okay.
Go for it.
Basically, Michael is planning to replace a shed on a property that is a couple of lots down from his house. The zoning waiver is based on the fact that our standard zoning doesn't allow you to build a outbuilding on a lot that's not attached to your house, that you have a house on. And so it's right on that one on Oak Street. I don't know if you want, there's a shed there that's like fallen over. I mean, it's really in poor condition. So from the zoning board perspective, it was going to be an upgrade from what was existing there, and there's already an existing building, so he's not putting in a new shed, you know, in some place that's not his. And it is 2 blocks down from his house, so that was.
It's a huge improvement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we will address that during the board meeting when we get to the P&Z committee reports. May I proceed? Okay, we close the public hearing. All right. First thing on the agenda is to review and approve the minutes from the December 19th, 2024 board meeting. That can be found under tab 4.
I'll make a motion to approve the December 19, 2024 minutes as prepared.
We have a motion to approve the minutes from December 19th. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the minutes of the December 19th, 2024 Board of Aldermen meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Next thing on the agenda is the mayor's report. The Board of Aldermen held a budget review and work session yesterday. Made several changes that we anticipate that will be included in the final budget. We noted that we have a shortage within the general fund, or should say shortage, should say reduction in funds, which is typically called revenue, to the general revenue fund of $178,000. So we have to be making some changes prior to the finalization of that budget in order to address that shortfall. This next piece of information is relative to a question that was asked. It is not normally discussed is currently the city of Monroe City's annual debt service that we have to pay each year is $676,842. That's our current debt service, which may, if under consideration or given consideration, be a good indication of why we have chosen to not move forward with obtaining additional loans to cover the $1,008,000 cost for the transformer replacement at the industrial park substation, nor will we be moving forward to obtain a loan for approximately $370,000 for the upgrade to the water plant. We will be paying for that out of our current funds and revenues from 2025. So we're going to have additional budget meetings probably for the next 2 weeks, and probably some department meetings between now and then to cover some of the issues that were discussed. And that's all that I have for the mayor's report. Moving on, city clerk's report.
I just wanted to ask a couple of things regarding the budget. I know we did discuss, lowering a few line items last night in our budget, and I would just like to get some direction from the board, since we do not have a currently approved budget yet, on overtime. We saw, in a nutshell, how much overtime that, we put out on last year, and I didn't know what your all's thoughts are on that, or wait till we do pass a budget. I just want to see if y'all have any direction on what you want us to do there.
Well, I think, I guess I can only speak for myself, but maybe the general part of the board, that the budget is pretty tight next year, especially with the other things, and we are planning on reducing expenses in as many places as we can. And in general, we would probably want to discourage any overtime that's not necessary, because that always becomes a question of like, when do we want to do overtime and not? Of course, there's things that come up with that. It's hard from, at least my view of the stuff, to know day to day when some of the overtime expenses are necessary. I mean, you have like snow removal. I also know like in the admin area, we've had a lot of backlog of like the stuff to catch up on, and so we do want to get those kind of things done.
What would be situations now where there might be overtime?
Just what I'm familiar with, meetings, a lot of times there's meetings, and I will say it's very hard for us to get a break for lunch at this point too. And we kind of talked about this at the admin committee, and I know we're going to bring that up here a little bit later too. I know in the past administration, they kept referring to a budget freeze, and I don't know exactly what that entailed, because I never saw any change when
Right.
there was a budget freeze.
It was supposed to be no spending unless it was minimal, no unnecessary spending, right?
That is correct.
And as little overtime as possible. Because the previous mayor had said when she was here, and everybody kind of agreed, if it couldn't be done. I know there was so much back stuff to do, but then we got to a point when, she said overtime was getting out of control, so that if it was something that couldn't be done by 5 o'clock, then it was just gonna have to wait till the next day.
So with regards then to spending, you still feel the same on that?
I think with as tight as everything is, we're gonna have to be.
I might suggest, vis-a-vis ordinance, the board of aldermen, vis-a-vis ordinance, has made the mayor the chief budget officer. So what I might add is, during last night's meeting, I think it was fairly clear that the board's direction was that we try to not have overtime in any department. Exceptions to that would require, I believe you all said that would require either myself or the city clerk to authorize it. And the same thing with spending. We have went through a lot of spending records for 24 and 23, 24. And some items are questionable as to whether or not those should have been expenses that the city of Monroe City should have paid for. I won't go into detail, but I left the meeting last night under the impression that it was the board's requirement that all expenses going forward be approved individually by either the city clerk's office or the mayor. Was that a misunderstanding? Was it a misunderstanding?
No.
Okay, that's what we're gonna do,
You mean until a budget is approved?
even after the budget's approved. Because I think that we already are very, well, we're already quite aware that we're, based on historical information that we've reviewed, we have not done a good job in the individual departments of sticking to the budget or even knowing where they were at in the budget. Not every department, but these, when these budgets are as high as they are in dollar figures, it doesn't take very long for it to add up.
So
But that'll be your all's discretion.
So the payables will be approved by you and the clerk, not the board?
No,
Well,
what
you said you
what we're talking
approve it
about, what you're seeing right there is the invoices. What we're talking
Before
about
they
is
make the
making the
purchase.
purchase.
Before they
Yes.
get to the
Yes.
purchase? Okay.
Now, today an instance came up, and this is gonna happen, I'll quickly make a reference. Today in the street department, we had a truck that we wanted to use, that had 2 dead batteries in it. The batteries were like 5 years old. So yeah, we went and bought 2 batteries. It cost us almost $500, $373 for 2 batteries. But, things like that are gonna happen where you don't really have a lot of choices. Some things you can put off, but some things you can't. And having operational equipment in advance of a snowstorm is probably not a bad choice.
Right.
I think you would all agree with that. So what we're wanting to do, we're not sitting here saying we're not gonna spend any money. What we're saying is we want to be able to have an opportunity to get a second set of eyes on some expenditures to either decide that we can do it today, or maybe we can't do it today, maybe we can do it in 2 weeks, maybe we can do it in the next month. And then we'll have to challenge the department making the request to justify why it's needed in the first place, and if it's something that we think should be put off and they disagree, justify why it can't be put off, so we stay within budget. Because the budget's basically a monthly spending, with the exception of CapEx items, which also were addressed last night, and there are some changes to what was previously approved. We'll get into that later.
So-
Anything else?
Well, I just want some clarification, because I think this is gonna drive you two nuts. If somebody needs to buy $200 worth of ink cartridges, do they need your approval first, or a case of paper? Does a department need to come to you?
No.
I mean,
I think.
That's what I'm saying,
you-
like, if we set a budget for a certain amount, then why are we then approving them again?
As long as they're aware of what's kept it on a regular basis, of how
Well,
much
then
is
we
left in there.
need to be
Well,
informed.
after the
of what
meeting last
budget
night,
And
I
I
went
don't
back
think they have
to
any
my
past.
desk, and I just kind of picked some items out of the current budget and to see what we're proposing, and I looked them up to see where we're at on that line item. Some of them are almost to their budget,
For the entire year.
so I don't know if that means that budget needs to be increased or that just needs to be monitored better for the spending on those line items.
And now for the budget period, I'm asking this because budget period technically started in October.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we're not looking, 2 weeks into the budget, but 3 months, but still,
Yes.
very short period. Okay, the other question I guess we'd have, and of course, we've been trying to work through that in the budget. The information that we have on the budget now that we're working with has been so far been trying to be based off of previous spends. Of course, we're still a little bit maybe
we made some significant corrections today to
Yeah.
both electric and gas to make those as accurate as possible for 2024, 2025 expectations on sales and revenue. And it made a significant change when we went back in the electric department and applied the new base rate and the new margins to the electric rates on both residential, commercial, and industrial, less the demand charge, which is a little more complicated a little more difficult to calculate. And it made a significant difference in both the gas department and the electric department as far as their ending balances. Even though we're carrying over a tremendous amount of expenses from last year, we will end up in a very positive way in the electric department based upon our expectations of sales for 2025, which we did go through the process of removing all of the sales that we had, even though we didn't collect it all, in 23-24 from Missouri Millicraft, which was a substantial amount of electric usage and substantial amount of natural gas usage. So the 2025 has all of those sales and of course, the purchases for those taken out of the budget. So those sales and those margins are gone, and it still looks very, very positive. And we were very pleased with the results of our efforts. And I think you will be too when you see it.
Good. I mean, that's, I know you guys have been putting a lot of effort.
There's only one fund now that's negative, and that is sewer, and it's less than $40,000. So we've come a long, long ways from where we started, trying to put together what we feel like is the most accurate forecast, knowing fully well that the 22-23 beginning numbers for 23-24 were suspect, which makes the beginning numbers for 24-25 suspect. But if you do the math, I know this is a huge number, but it's a lot less than what it originally was. But if you do the math, the total unaccounted funds is right at $244,000 for the entire year. And when I say unaccounted, it doesn't mean that they were lost. It doesn't mean that they disappeared. It means they're not accounted for. So if you look at the total budget, based on our best efforts, if there is an error, it's less than $250,000 in total across all funds. Okay.
Might be something a little bit between categories.
Yeah,
and that's on a $10 million
and
budget.
even then,
So,
well, it's actually close to 12, but at 250. 250 is a significant difference from where we started. So I think, and again, we went back and made all the changes that the board asked for in last night's meeting, and they're representing that budget. And the only reason I haven't sent it to you guys to your individual emails is I have yet to have Danette complete her review. I'm done.
I mean, I know all of you are fiscally responsible, and I know we want to do what we can to get all of our finances back in order for the city. And I don't know if we just need more oversight for sure on the budget.
And I mean, I think to your point where you've looked at it and see that at this point now we're already, that's one thing that from my view, I would like to see when we get a budget finally, I would like to see tracking on that at least monthly of like, okay, this is where we are in the budget and this is where we're at.
With the departments, with the council, with everyone, yes.
We can print out each department each month and see where they're at in all categories.
And that will give us everyone a chance to see where off the mark. Or
I'm gonna give the departments a chance too to say, oops, we're getting really close on this line item.
Yeah.
And maybe they could transfer between line items, but still stay within that budget and end up being okay.
But you're asking now if every expense needs to be approved before, is that,
If you all are in agreement with that, we can do it. I mean, until we have a budget and until we start having those meetings and, you know, coming together,
you say, is that something that's okay, or is that gonna make you go insane?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what if you need a case of paper?
What?
So what if you need a case of paper?
Most
You're gonna have to-
departments should have all of the
Everyday.
supplies right now. They should be pretty stocked on stuff like that.
Okay.
So, I mean, if they come to us needing essential supplies, we don't have an option. I mean, we're gonna approve those
Right,
types of things.
right.
You know, if we get to a line item to where, well, like a couple that I looked at last night, they're only a couple $1,000s away from meeting their budget. That they've gotta determine, you know, at some point, what they gotta give up. I
Right,
think.
yeah. What are they trading off?
Well, yeah.
I know that my budget, people service has its own maintenance budget, so I have to watch that, so I know it's not what you're talking about, but as a department head, if we're working on something and I need 2 bolts and run down to Roby's, but yet I have to come here first, get approval to spend $1.50 at Roby's, that's semi-counterproductive, so I understand why the mayor and city clerk need to see this, but maybe if the council would consider, up to $50 or some, a small amount, because if they just need to do something quick, sometimes coming into City Hall, you can't get to the person you need right away either. They're with customers and so on and so forth, but I just wanted to say my piece.
I was gonna suggest that if it's under a certain dollar amount, it seems like it's gonna drive you guys crazy. I mean, it's just like George said,
We
I
have,
need to spend $5.
Are those bolts available down at the shed and you can go down there and get them, or rather than Roby's? You know, is it something that they do have that just easier to go to Roby's and get it?
Do you think that I'm asking, I would hope that the departments are more responsible than that, that they're not going to just go frivolously spend money.
Well, that's what we're trying to avoid, yeah.
How long has it been since the departments have done an audit of their own facilities? Anybody?
I can only-
Inventory.
An inventory.
yeah,
The last inventory
Last year,
I
wasn't it?
saw was Ronnie, he worked for the gas department. What was his last name?
Smith.
Yeah, Ronnie
Smith.
Smith. It was the year before he retired was the last that I remember
Wow.
seeing an inventory.
well, it's like something we need to add to our list.
And I don't wanna split hairs over
No,
2 bolts and stuff like that, but I just think sometimes things come across and it's probably items that we have, and it's just easier to go purchase than find what we find it down in the shed somewhere.
If it were a time constraint, I would certainly think that would be the smart thing to do. But it's probably well overdue to go through and clean our own houses and reorganize and with very little spare time we have and use what we have.
Okay, what would you say that any expenditure in excess of, I don't know, what, $100 requires approval?
I'd say 50.
50?
50s.
Okay, 50 it is. Put it in writing, send out to all department heads. Any purchase over $50 requires approval from the city clerk or the mayor's office by direction of the board.
With exception like car fuel.
Excepting car fuel, if you're at the gas station, you need to put oil in. If you're at the gas station, you put in depth fluid because it's diesel. You put in the depth fluid. That's a very normal thing that we fully understand as a requirement.
Above and beyond general operating fund.
He's filling out a list now.
And just back to the overtime real quick, what are you?
I would say,
thoughts on
I would
that?
suggest any overtime must be approved. Rick, you want
pre-approved
So
by,
I don't know why that,
by who?
I don't know the answer to that question. The mayor.
Chief budget officer?
Chief
Fair
Financial-
enough. Fair enough, then that would mean that all departments will have to request it?
We have two questions on the floor, Mayor.
Just since you
You
have
don't
the
work for me.
electric and the gas, if you have a gas leak in the middle of the night and the guys have to come in.
Doesn't have anything to do with emergency call-ins.
Okay, because all you said was
It-
all
it-
overtime.
it-
That's
well,
just the way it
it's
was
like
said.
this, 911, is gonna get a phone call, there's a gas leak, there's a water leak, there's a sewer leak, there's an electric line down, that's not what we're talking about. We're not, one would hope if you told someone in one of these departments that you can't have any overtime, that unless we approve it, and they got a 911 call and didn't show up, they would probably be asked to resign.
Okay, yeah,
We
I
have
would've
mature
showed up without your
people,
approval is
we have
what I'm
mature
saying,
people,
but-
I hope to God, in all these departments that understand what we're trying to do is to not spend money we don't have to spend. We're not trying to question their judgment, we're trying to question whether or not what they're proposing to do is the best value for the city at this time, accepting emergencies.
Okay.
Is that clear?
It is, but with what you were saying, it was
I
all
get it,
overtime.
I get it,
just
but-
wanted to make sure you put that in there.
Okay,
Yes, a normal person would, but
All non-emergency overtime.
Zach, you had a question. Another question on
Zach's got it hand up.
yes,
Would we be able to get a copy of the current budget and where everybody is?
sure.
We still like to see.
Copy of the budget, where they're at, where their department's at,
police department.
police department.
Oh, what you're currently at with your expenses? Yeah.
Sure
Also
will,
said,
chief.
well, We're also saying that in the past, I don't think it has probably been very well communicated, maybe with departments where you are, how much you spent, so, am I wrong in assuming that?
And since we don't have a budget in place, those have not been dispersed, but yeah, I can get that out.
But we're watching the numbers, so I think the departments need to be able to watch the numbers as well. So
I agree.
we should,
Just it's a revision to a practice that we should have been following all along and did in the past. We just need to redo it again.
Good enough.
We're a little complacent.
Anything else?
What was that? I didn't hear you.
We've been complacent.
We've been playing
Well, we
some
haven't-
sort of catch-up.
we haven't known the numbers. I mean,
Right.
We're just now
Right.
figuring out what the numbers
We're,
are.
we're as closest now we've been in months.
Probably
Six.
years.
I was gonna say years.
Well, I'm just going back to when we all, the last
Considering
election.
this is my first budget
You've ever seen?
I've seen.
Okay. Well, we're gonna continue working, towards it, working with our department heads and, within our administration to try to get that, complete. We're gonna have to have one more meeting, at least one more meeting. We're gonna try to get it scheduled really quickly, with the budget that we put together today. I think we're about as close as we can get to. And was you gonna report on anything else?
Yeah, she has her clerk report.
Do we wanna go ahead and set another budget meeting while we're here tonight?
If we can. What's next week look like for you guys?
Next week, the week of the 13th.
I think I'm pretty open. I'm open.
I cannot Thursday,
I'm busy on Thursday.
reconciliation, and preferably not Tuesday,
So not Tuesday or,
Thursday.
Thursday.
Monday or Wednesday,
how about Wednesday?
the 15th.
We do Wednesday,
Yeah.
6 o'clock? Is that too early, Greg?
What do you
Works,
say?
6:14.
6 o'clock?
Yeah.
Lori? Wednesday 6, Adrian?
Yes.
So
Mr. Mayor
15th,
Pro Tem?
January 15th at 6 o'clock.
What?
January.
15th at 6.
That was good.
You wanna move into the next month?
Okay, and so we gotta schedule another meeting prior to that. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
Okay.
Anything else?
I do have your clerk report there. Wanted to, see if we could have Alex attend the Spring Institute in Columbia, Missouri. It's not until March 10th, and, it's just a day training. Actually, it's 1 to 5, it's not even a full training, but, at this new clerks institute, being, almost a deputy clerk, they will go over lots of hands-on things with sunshine law, meeting minutes, agendas, just all things that I think Alex is looking forward to getting a better understanding on. And we do have 135 in our proposed budget for training, so I didn't know. Just want to bring that up. G-Works, we continue to struggle with G-Works. I've attached a ticket report here that you can view, and this is just a ticket report from Alex. This is not a ticket report from Phoebe, Tanya, or myself. We've got to move on something. And last time Alex spoke with Heidi at G-Works, she mentioned to him that they are now transferring some customers over to the cloud 100% right now. And front desk is what we have right now that's on the cloud, and we have nothing but problems with it. Alex, do you want to hit on some more of those front desk issues?
Many of those tickets with the front desk deposits, we have 1, 2, 3 times a week for the same issue. Something in their software just doesn't register it, there's an error, so whenever you try to clear it in your bank reconciliation for the deposits, it just doesn't work, and we take 2, 3 tickets a week just to try to fix that issue. And all it is, and the only explanation I get from 3, 4 of them, it's all the same, just their software is just crap.
What all, I mean, I know front desk we use for utility billing, what all billing, what do we do with G-Works, and what are?
Everything.
It's all of our software. It's for our bank reconciliation. It is for our purchase orders. We do work orders, of course. We have utility billing, payroll, when it comes back in-house, we do our payroll through that. Accounts payable is a big thing. The front desk itself is right now just utility billing, and that's what's on the cloud right now. But G-Works, the software, we have all those.
And front desk and G-Works don't talk to each other well at all.
They're supposed to, but they don't.
G-Works is so old.
Yeah, it's ancient.
We did include some more information on the Edmunds GoTech, and this is who we've sat in on a demo from them.
And they're on the MML's list, at the top of their list for that type of provider. And I did some math on these tickets. If you look at their ticket numbers, in the last 4 months, the ticket numbers show that they've had 22,746 tickets done in total as a company. And think about how many customers they had. I mean, they're not everybody uses them. I mean, that comes out to 284 tickets a day for 20 days a month. That just seems insane. I mean, these shouldn't have to be a ticket. It should work.
I do know Palmyra, they are switching, but they are going to
Fisher?
BS today, I believe is the name of it, or BNS, I think is what it's called. They're going to that. They are a little more costlier, but I haven't exactly understood why, because they originally were going to go with Edmunds, and then they have an actual IT person, and the IT person recommended they go with the BSNA. So maybe Mike, we can kind of get with Mike set in. If we decide to call BSNA and get a demo, and we could find out more information on that.
Does G-Works not have an updated version, or
Oh, no.
is what the same?
They don't even support some of their software anymore. They don't provide updates for some of their software anymore, like their tax billing, which we don't have. But if you are a municipality that uses their tax billing, they do not provide any updates with that anymore.
G-Works is the old data technologies.
It is, yes, it is.
If you went with Edmunds, would we still have front desk, or would that
No.
just all be within
It would all be
Edmunds?
with Edmunds.
And then we wouldn't have the subscription issue.
Can we get out of that easily?
The subscription issue for the front desk, for each 50 users you register on there, it's $368, which comes out to be almost $8 a person, and that's annually.
I know at one time, sorry, I'm having a squirrel moment, we did not have enough room in there for people to sign up. Did we
Right.
get that?
We
corrected?
only purchase 50 slots at a time, because we don't want to have any
Excess.
extra that we're gonna have to pay for annually. So when we see that we're getting close to that 50, we'll put in a request for some additional ones. We're up to around 450 users on there.
And it came with like 50 or something, but the initial, yeah, if that, yeah. That's something maybe.
Another thing on those tickets is it takes about 1 to 5 days on some of those tickets to get anything done. I have one ticket in that's in about 6-7 days now, and I haven't gotten anything, and I've reached out.
I put a ticket in on January 2nd, and it's still in process. Haven't heard a word from them.
So if you try to follow up with them, do they charge you another ticket?
You can follow up with them.
But does it do any good?
It's serving purpose.
Do we have something proposed in the budget for a software upgrade? Did you know? Did we put that-
It is a lot.
Mayor, was that in the capital expenditures?
For the software
For
upgrade?
software?
I do not think it is. But we can.
Well, we don't know how,
How much
if
are
we
we
do
spending?
go with the
Well,
different software, we don't know how
there-
soon they would be able
there's,
to.
There's a
get
way
it
we can look at
implemented,
this.
or how long that will take either.
There's a second way we can look at this. The software that we're talking about is something that is used across all enterprise,
Right,
our combined enterprise funds.
Correct.
So
each department.
we can actually take that cost and may or may not divide equally, depends on the number of subscribers to each utility. But point being, we can figure this out.
And possibly they could even spread the,
Yeah.
fee over a 2-year fiscal period, or
Mhm.
something like that even. But
I think we're at a point where you're gonna have to do something.
We will go ahead and take that first year cost, which is all inclusive for the first year, includes training, et cetera, at least what I read. And we will put that into the combined enterprise funds and see what that looks like. I think we'll be okay.
Because how much are we spending roughly a year for what we have?
Last, in December, we paid, and I believe it was around 23,000.
The 23, and this other software is like 30.
Yeah.
I mean,
On
so,
an annual basis.
On an annual
Annually,
basis,
yeah.
yes.
How much per year annually?
It was around 23 in December when we paid.
What's the
That's
new one?
not
What's the new one going to be?
including
Slightly
Around
higher.
30.
That's including.
Around
the
30.
rent.
Okay.
Yes.
so we're spending 23,000 a year now
For nothing.
For that,
For-
something that works.
for junk. The new software is 30, not including the changeover, but we're shooting ourselves in the foot with this software.
Agreed.
I mean,
Agreed.
It's 30 years old.
We'll put it into
Yeah.
the budget. We'll put it in the budget. The board will have an opportunity to review the budget. and make a determination whether they would like to or would not like to approve the budget.
For the admin committee, I have got a question. Would you all be interested in listening or doing an online call with any of our software companies?
I
Or-
trust you
Okay, okay,
to
Me too.
be
all right.
expert
And we'll
in
get
that.
Mike on board, and we'll go from there then.
You want to participate?
I wouldn't know nothing
I
about it.
mean,
Adrian?
I trust you.
Let's see. When we had our admin committee, well, when you all had your admin committee meeting, was it Monday? Last Monday?
mhm.
We proposed a few things regarding the office, and you had asked for us to bring those proposals to the meeting tonight, and I think Phoebe has all of that information. Yeah. We don't know if you want to go over that here, if you want to have another admin meeting, and we can present it then, or what works best.
How about we present that information during the committee report under administration? Okay with you?
I think that's all I have. If you all are okay with Alex attending that training for the $135, I would need a motion on that.
I'll make a motion to allow Alex to attend the training at a cost of $135.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the expenditure for Alex to attend the, what's it called?
It's the Spring Institute New Clerks Training.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right, moving right along. The city attorney's report.
Just a few things. Alex, did you want to talk about the software issue? The bill,
Brightly.
or,
Brightly.
yeah, Brightly. So there's a software company that, I mean, I guess giving everybody a heads up, if it snowballs, we should probably put it in closed session, but the city somehow signed up for this software program that's now been auto-renewing, and they're sending like threatening letters saying you owe us $10,000.
10?
So,
It's around 8,000.
okay.
Right, 8, okay.
8.
That we signed up for.
Well, that's,
Are they charging a card, or are they just?
They're not getting.
They sent an invoice. I believe, if I may interject, I believe that the city clerk's office has found the original approval from the board to enter into an agreement initially, but no subsequent approvals in following years.
It probably
That's-
auto-renewed.
Yes.
right, so I didn't realize that, but that's what I wondered. I wondered if that had happened, so I've been dealing with their representatives, so I told them we're not gonna pay it, so stay tuned, I guess. Other issue, the Missouri Hillcraft case is set for trial first week of February, so see what happens there.
First week of February.
Mhm. So I will need to talk to Danette and the mayor about, I mean, they probably need to come, but. They are getting sued, there's 3 cases on the docket now. With other people suing them, so.
That same day?
Well, I think we're the first, I don't know if they're set for trial, but there's 3 current lawsuits against them. So, that's all I've got.
Are we actually using this Brightly?
No.
Now,
Did we ever actually use it?
What was he hearing about it?
It's an
What was it
asset
for?
management.
I was gonna ask
What is it?
Jason or Adrian, this,
Maintenance.
It was originally called
Dude Solutions.
Solutions. Blake brought it before the council.
That was before me.
I don't remember even hearing that name.
We used it for a very short time. It was very difficult. So kind of just when Blake left, it disappeared.
Question for the city attorney. If it goes into collections and they were to go to court and get a judgment, how does that impact our ability to borrow money in the future?
shouldn't affect it.
Okay.
But, well, if it gets to that point, we'll talk about it in
All
closed
right.
session. But,
Does that conclude your report?
it does.
We have no authorized guest speakers that I'm aware of. Of course, there's none on the agenda. So, be there no objection, we'll move directly into new business. First on the agenda for new business is resolution appointing a director and alternate director to the Missouri Joint Municipal Electric Utility Commission.
Who do you recommend, Mayor?
I was contacted by NPUA for us to update this resolution, just because there's been some staffing changes. So I did talk to Chris Whelan, and of course he would be the director, and Justin Price, he suggested as an alternate director. So we would just need a motion to accept the resolution.
Okay, so we would need a motion to accept the resolution, or to allow us to complete the resolution, to allow Chris Whelan to be the director and Justin Price to be the alternate director. We need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion on the floor to approve Chris Whelan as the appointed director and Justin Price as the appointed alternate director for our representatives to the Missouri Joint Municipal Electric Utility Commission.
I'll second.
We have a motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries. Okay. Moving right along, planning and zoning. There was tonight conducted a public hearing relative to the request by Michael Shoemaker for a conditional use permit. There was no objections from the public noted. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommends to the Board of Aldermen to approve the conditional use permit submitted by Michael Shoemaker. Need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the conditional use permit.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the conditional use permit as requested by Michael Shoemaker. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the conditional use permit for Michael Shoemaker. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. We'll make that official and issue a conditional use permit for that property location, legal description. Second thing from the Planning and Zoning Commission hearing was they have recommended that this board approves the site plan committed by Tom Bach.
I'll make a motion to approve the site plan for Tom Bach.
We have a motion on the floor and a second to approve the site plan for Tom Bach. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The motion carries. The site plan for Tom Bach is approved. Next thing on the agenda, item C, is the 2025 QW contract found under tab 9.
So are they our employee or LQW's employee?
They're-
LOQW.
So we're just paying all of them?
It's just a contract. How many hours do they work typically?
Henry's here from 3:30 to 5.
Daily?
Monday through Friday. Katie's here
No,
for
they
2
clean
hours
City
on
Hall
Monday,
daily.
Wednesday.
They clean police department daily.
I know Henry, he's here daily from 3:30 for 2 hours. Airport, I don't know, Dell was here. How often do they clean out there?
Once a week, and for, these are hour and a half sometimes.
Okay. And then Zach on the police department,
Tuesdays and Fridays, 2.5 hours each day.
I'll make a motion to approve the per hour increase for LOQW to $14.50 per hour.
All
That's
right,
minimum wage, so.
Yeah, we have a motion on the floor to approve the employment agreement dated January 1st, 2025 between the City of Monroe City and Learning Opportunities Quality Work Incorporated. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion second on the floor to approve the contract between the City of Monroe City and Learning Opportunities Quality Work Incorporated. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Contract is approved. Next thing on the agenda is council committee reports. Planning and zoning is the first. We've already conducted.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the site plan for Tom Bachford?
He has property out on the other side of Oak Street. You know, he's got that new stuff they've been doing. He is going to build another building on his site there, close to where he has this current house and building there.
Kind of like a workshop type building.
Yeah, it's I don't know, what was it, like a 30 by 60 building or something like that.
That sounds
Sounds
approximately
about
correct.
right. But anyway, another steel building basically there next to his current.
And it's zoned correctly for that.
It's zoned for that, and he's got he's got plenty of space out there. He's got good correct offsets and everything off the road.
Perfect.
And all that, so.
Thank you.
Very good. Anything else planning and zoning? Okay, next on the agenda is Parks and Cemetery. Anyone here to represent Parks and Cemetery? Did I report that?
You did.
I did. Okay.
So I wouldn't at the December meeting for them. It's Steve Yates.
You know, I tell you what.
Yeah. And we're not having another meeting until February.
Say it again.
I said, and the Parks Board is not having another meeting until February.
Okay.
Currently.
Okay.
Did we have a chance to talk to them to see who they recommend to replace Steve?
Well, so far the recommended individuals have declined,
Oh,
so I won't even go down that road.
okay.
Richard Maziarka is that correct? Has volunteered to be on Parks and Cemetery. Membership on Parks and Cemetery is a mayoral appointment. I would like to take this opportunity to ask the board to approve the appointment of Richard Maziarka to Parks and Cemetery Committee.
I'll make a motion that we approve the mayor's appointment.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the appointment of Richard Maziarka to the Parks and Cemetery Committee. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion second on the floor to approve the appointment of Mr. Maziarka to the Parks and Cemetery Committee. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Congratulations, welcome aboard,
Thank you.
and thank you for volunteering.
Yes.
All right, next thing on the agenda is economic development. Is there anyone here from
We tried to have a meeting, but the weather canceled it.
the snow? Canceled.
Yeah, imagine that.
Yeah.
Again, get another one scheduled here.
Okay, excellent. Administration.
We had a meeting on December 30th at 5:30, so I would kind of like to go ahead and just schedule another meeting for January 30th at 5:30. That's also on a Thursday. And then, of course, whatever you were going to mention earlier, or Phoebe.
Phoebe was second.
This may be, I don't know if you wanna talk about this now, if you wanna wait till that meeting when we have it on the 30th? I mean, it's kind of about those hour changes and stuff. We know you guys did not like the idea of shutting the city hall down for an hour with nobody to take that quiet time. So we're asking if, because the DMV has changed their hours to 8 to 4:30, potentially their hours is changed to from 4:30 to 5 to get their paperwork, so they're not in that overtime thing. But with Tanya gonna learn that side too, if the two of them can work together to close that door down. Alex and I work to close our doors down. It's not gonna cost the city anymore, it's not gonna make you anymore, but if we could work 8 to 4:30, that Alex and I close our side down, them guys, we all walk out of here at 4:30, we only take a half-hour lunch, and we stagger that lunch. Would that be something you guys would consider and think about for that meeting when we come back on the 30th?
Does the DMV, since they're closing now at 4:30, are they still closed for an hour for lunch?
They're supposed to be.
Yes.
Where are they?
That's horrible.
That's
I don't
not
know
gonna
when
be the
people are supposed to
answer.
come up here and get their license.
Huh?
When are they supposed to get their
I
license?
don't like
from-
the idea,
Well, I
I
think
think
that
it's
was
hard,
enforced
but
by
I
the
don't
state-
like
state
closing at
requirement.
lunch when most people
When
run
they're
their
trying
errands.
to do
I think
that.
it's a-
When I do my
I think
If you're a
it's
public service place, I
It's
just
a
don't
state
like doing
thing,
that.
though, I think.
No, I'm not saying the license office,
Oh,
whatever they have
yeah.
to do, they have to do. I'm just saying,
I would have to literally take off work, use vacation time to come and get my license renewed if they close at 4:30.
that's what we're saying.
And Jason, I don't believe it is a state requirement.
Oh, it's not? Well, so we gotta do, because then the drawer's not getting, it's,
How long does it take to close out the drawer?
I'm
because
not
to-
opposed to the 4:30 so much as if they could take lunch from like,
Well, that's what we're asking. If we only have to take a half hour, we think we can stagger a half hour. But if each one of us are AP questions, anything like that, tech is all supposed to go to Alex. It's hard for me to cover for him for an hour if I don't know what he's done. You know, I do utilities. You know, that's kind of my thing. And to tell somebody they're gonna have to call back an hour later, I mean, but if we take that half hour, that's a doable, that, hey, they just stepped out, they'll be back in a half hour.
This is something we
so-
talked about before, is staggering start times. Have somebody come in at 7, somebody come in at 8, somebody come in at 9, and then the person that comes in at 7, you leave at 4 o'clock. The person that comes in at 8 leaves at 5 o'clock, and the 9 o'clock person leaves at 6. That was discussed in
It
the
has
past.
been discussed before.
And what
I
about
don't
lunches?
think we need 6 o'clock.
The only issue I have with that is if, I don't know how this would work, okay, but I don't think it's a good idea to have a single person in here by themselves between the hours of 5 and 6. So you would have to have 2 people.
Yeah, well, and we
Say
don't
now.
have to be till 6, you could adjust it. I'm just saying, we talked about staggering start times and end times. So if you come in earlier, you leave earlier, and then the next person leaves a little bit later, you know, and then, yeah, staggering lunch times, I think would be a good, we've talked about that before too.
I think if we could stagger lunches and have a 30-minute lunch, that problem that Lori and I are kind of talking about, somebody would be
You would be
open
open.
during, lunch hour, if people need to run
I
out.
do think, I think I think a lot of people try to use their lunch break at their other, their
Sure.
job to run those kind of quick type of errands, and make those stop by, so I do like to have that, coverage. It also makes sense, everyone kind of adapts to City Hall is open from, say, 8 to 4 or whatever, but then if you've got like another time in the middle that it's not open, then it's like, oh, is it closed at 11, is it closed at noon, and
Yeah.
there's tends to be more people.
Yeah, I would rather you stagger your start
Me
and
too.
times per person.
Yeah, and yeah.
It's like, does anybody know what
Or
time the
whatever
post
works.
office is open and closes and how long their lunch break is?
Yeah.
Depends on
I
the
can't
day.
keep up with their changes.
No.
Yeah. I can't.
So
So,
if we staggered the lunch and just kept our hours as 8 to 4:30,
That works, I mean, I think that
I
would
like
cover,
You don't have a whole lot of traffic from 4:30 to 5 anyway,
plus
and
the other
especially with the
departments,
DMV,
the other departments are already gone, they leave at
they leave
4.
at 4, we can't call
So,
anybody.
you know, we can't, have any work orders.
What time do we close now? 5?
5.
And as far as like getting here, I mean, I'm usually here 7:15. I mean, I start the day, I mean, I'm not on the clock. I mean, I start the day, I get the door, updated for the day because we don't update tonight, we'll update in the morning for that, except for we're going to change that on the last day of the month, so people aren't getting the annoying, your payments late when they really paid on the 20th, but because we updated, it's all changed, all that. So, I mean, I get all that stuff done before we even open, so that when, you know, I go on and unlock the door at 7:30, whenever we're here, so people can come in early. I mean, I'll wait on you and get it done. But that way it's, huh?
Does anybody ever come in?
Sometimes. Sometimes there's
Not
people,
very often.
say, sometimes there's people here
Because I'm
from
usually here too.
but yeah, so I mean, that's our quiet time, but we are on our own time, so that we're at 8 o'clock, we're ready to do what, you know, we're ready to start the day. And, you know, so I mean, it's there, I mean, it's,
I'm not opposed to the 8 to 4:30, 30-minute lunch staggered. I'm not.
we have the drop box. A person did ask me today about a drop box on the other side. I don't know if that's something we can talk to. What they potentially asked for was like a mailbox slot, so like the elderly lady trying to get out of her car on the ice out there, she asked if we could do something to have a box where she wouldn't have to get out of her car. I don't know if that's even possible, I don't know, but that
Mailbox or
would,
something.
I mean, yeah, because I said, well, we have one on the other side, she said,
So
well,
if
I
we
still
do
gotta get
the
out of my car.
7, you get here at 7, you clock in at 7:30.
No, we,
8 to
no,
4:30.
still wouldn't clock until 8.
8 to 4:30, but 30-minute lunch.
So you're coming in though at 7:30, getting here at 7:30 and doing a whole
But
bunch
I mean, it's a matter of hitting a button to update stuff, I mean, so we're
Just
doing it
as long
in
as you're not
between,
doing
you know, starting
bunches.
coffee and doing our own stuff, I mean, on our own time, so I mean, it's a matter of a few minutes getting that
Say 8 to 4:30
updated.
with a half an hour for lunch.
Mhm.
So it sounds to me like that this issue is going to be brought back up into the next administration
Yeah.
committee meeting. You will bring forth your final recommendation to the full board for consideration. Is that correct?
Yeah, January 30th at 5:30.
All right. Anything else?
Also, we talked about closing a couple of days for training and stuff.
Yeah.
We're thinking the last working day of the month, because that is a slow day. I mean, utility bills are getting printed and stuff, but you've either already been disconnected or whatever, that we have that lull time in there. So that ideally is a slow day for us anyway, that we can try to schedule with the other departments to, like, that is when we're gonna do any kind of training with like our new leaders and stuff like that. So kind of, we're waiting for Vision to call us back tomorrow and G-Works to try to see about these new electric meters. But either we read meters the second Tuesday and Wednesday of each month, you know, ideally that's when we do it unless there's something comes up. We would like to either be that Monday or Wednesday, the second Monday or Wednesday, one of those 2 days, to be our other half day that we do any kind of training, because getting those down, we have to get with Vision, because I don't know if you guys have seen on Facebook, people's bills have crazy dates on them right now, and I don't want to get into a lot of that stuff. But part of that problem is with Vision. We need training on how to, somebody has to be doing something and pulling those electronic meters in, but we need all departments to have something to do with that up here at one time to do that. And if we have to pull those electric reads from the computer before the guys go out and read on Tuesday and Wednesday, ideally Monday would be it, but we need Vision to give us their input on how we need to proceed with that, whether they think we should wait till after we've read, before we've read, what's the best way. So we've got emails out to them for both departments, them to call us tomorrow to try to see if they can give us answers. So we would hopefully have that answer for you by the 30th too. But those are the potential days you asked us about having, that we wanted to kind of throw there.
DMV is 8 to 4:30 now too.
Yes, but I think they're supposed to be here till 5. This is your deal, so.
If they're still here, they're still here till 5, and they have that would be an 8-hour workday for them.
Well, can they take a half hour lunch, Jennifer, and then Tanya cover for each other? Because isn't that what she's supposed to do? Like Jennifer go for half an hour, and then Tanya go for half an hour when Jennifer is here, so that
and then they leave at 4:30.
Leave at 4:32.
Everybody should be walking out the door and locking up at 5.
All of us together,
Yeah.
At 4:30.
At 4:30.
Oh, at 4:30. Oh, okay, because you already have your door counted.
Yes, we can start, you know, provided we know the last day, payday, the day bills are due is gonna be a different kind of situation, but I mean, you two.
But if somebody comes in at 4:25 and pays, can you just?
Yeah, we can just put it on tomorrow's
Oh,
date.
okay.
Because we don't turn like late fees and stuff on until after 9:30 the next day anyway, because I go to the post
Okay.
office, get anything, so nobody's charged late if they don't have to be.
Their probably just
Thank
needs
God,
to
'cause
be,
I've set some serious records driving over here to be here by 4:55.
so that probably just needs to be mandated that everybody take clock out. That way there's no additional overtime unless, you're here for a meeting.
And back to the training, I know do you have a general idea of how many hours for each session? Like what those, when City Hall would be closed from 2 to 4:30 or?
Yeah, we would max it, max would be like noon to 4, but that would be if there's really something that we really have to get into, so it wouldn't have to
I
be.
think that we should keep it consistent though.
Consistent.
Uh-huh,
Yeah.
So people know on the last day of the month, City Hall's gonna be closed from whatever the magic number is.
and that's why we were saying the last working day, and then the day that goes with those reading days, because those are consistent days that we do, provided nothing happens. We read meters that Tuesday, second Tuesday and Wednesday, so it makes sense that other day. So, if you're, we could say 12 to, I don't know, what your thought is on how many hours you need.
I would
or
suggest,
if you're saying 2 to
if I
4.
might, to move this meeting along, that you guys have these discussions in your committee conclusions that you all agree upon relative to the committee's recommendation to the board.
So we can discuss it more on the 30th and then change the hours.
Then
after
bring it back
that.
to the next council meeting and we'll make a decision.
Okay.
That's correct.
Because we're talking about it too.
That's
So
correct.
in February.
Thank you, Phoebe.
Phoebe, thank you for all your hard work. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Phoebe.
Nuisance Review Board, Public Safety.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Is there a meeting scheduled for them? Anything?
No.
Zach, are we okay?
I don't have anything pressing.
Okay.
Moving right along to department reports.
Maybe he's got.
I do want to ask, on these committee meetings, we don't have the Public Works Committee that we have talked about, the utilities and why do we not have these, and when can we do something with this?
I think that's a discussion we should have at another time. Put this not on the agenda.
I would also suggest that I would like to see these committees have set dates once a quarter that they meet. They're there for a reason. We've asked people from the public to be on these committees and we're not utilizing them.
I agree. The board recently, in particular to the one that you were just looking at on nuisance review board, public safety, the board just recently made a very significant change to the ordinance that covers nuisances. And I think it'd be an excellent opportunity for the board to get together, bring in members from the police department, and sit down and review that ordinance and discuss methods in which we may move forward to address some of these concerns that we have. That was the main reason when we brought it back. We updated it, we resurrected it, we made sure that it would withstand a legal test, because that ordinance has already withstood one, so there's precedent. Now what we need to do is we need to find a way to execute the use of that nuisance ordinance to help improve public